But like moving into that whole group, I thought the culture was like beautiful, and I really liked the way that they
Mm.
infused like the history of Namor and
Yeah,
his
right.
origin, and even though everybody else is still calling him Namor.
Which honestly, I actually kind of, I don't know if this was done intentionally and I could just be projecting, but as someone with a not that difficult name, but people still
Mhm.
get it wrong even after you tell them, I like related to that. So I
It's like
truly
that's
understood
not
like
my day.
that's not my name. And I just told you how to say it. But people still say it wrong anyway.
But hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of another relaunch. We are your host. I am Dora Melange and Midnight Angel Extraordinaire Anika.
Oh, okay. And I am Chicago's very own Riri Williams. How are
Oh,
you?
hot girl.
AKA Ironheart.
Yeah, that's a hot girl. I'm doing well. It is once again another unseasonably warm day in the District of Columbia. It's like 70, I think, today in
It
November.
is. Damn. That is not right.
That's not good. So it's funny. I actually have a friend who works in like climate change awareness and like the forest and saving things. And we were having a conversation about last week when I told you it was 80 degrees in November. And we were talking about that. And he was like, yeah, he was like, it's kind of too late. And I
Oh
said,
no,
oh
I had a feeling it was
no.
true.
I said, don't tell me that. He was just like, yeah. He was like, it's getting kind of bad. I was like, okay. But, people are wearing their shorts out, so they seem to really like it.
Yeah, I mean, hey, if it's gonna end, might as well go out wearing what you
Look
want.
good while doing it. That's what I say.
Yeah. You know?
That's what I say. How are you?
I'm good. It's been like a pretty crazy week with work and everything. So we're having like this company-wide meeting where we're all going to discuss like how the year has been and all that kind of stuff. And I was asked to come up with some trivia questions
Hmm.
for the like all hands. So it was going to be company-wide, and they wanted them to be superhero questions. So of course they came to me. And I am, of course, going to use this time to plug on my faves. So, like, I had
Ooh, okay.
one of my questions was like, which West Coast Avenger debuted in Avengers #9?
Now, why
I was
would
wondering
anybody
that.
know that?
It's a trivia question. And they asked me to make them hard. And I was like, okay, cool, I can do that.
That's a little too hard. That's like really difficult. Now, you have to be
Well,
serious. You like an obscure fave every now and again. So
I
you got to
tried to
be.
keep them also like relevant for the week. There was one question I came up with, like, who was the first mutant Marvel ever published? Namor. Who that's how I pronounce it now since he said it that way.
I'm not speaking that man's name.
I will. I will.
I am
Mm.
team not him. But we'll talk about that later.
Yes, we definitely will be talking about that later. But yeah, I've been just work, you know, same old stuff. How are you?
Okay. Good. I'm living. It's hot.
Mm. It is as wild. All right, well, let's go ahead and get into the updates of the week. First, we're gonna get into some kind of sad news. Um, we're gonna start with some rest in peace to Carlos Pacheco and Kevin Conroy, who just recently passed away. Carlos Pacheco, famous artist for both Marvel and DC. I think he did like everybody on both sides. And his art was such like a defining era in my opinion, because it was truly when I was like 10, 9 years old, really
Mhm.
starting to get into comics and everything, and his art was like what I really saw for the characters, and it was different than everything before. He kind of really ushered
Yeah.
in a whole new era. And Kevin Conroy is like, he's the voice of Batman. Even
That
now when
was
I read Batman, that's what I hear.
Yeah, that was like really sad. That one hit me kind of hard. I was like, oh wow, that's
Hmm.
intense. And it's like you just don't think about it, but it was sad. It's like
Hmm.
Batman. Wow. And it's like it makes you think like, oh, I kind of do like Batman sometimes too. At least when he's movies
He's
like
iconic. He's iconic, and I really do. I'm glad that he was able to come out and had that Pride
yeah.
special recently. So that was really fantastic that he had that opportunity before he passed. Um, all right, up next, there has also been an announcement on the Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. That's the follow-up to Into the Spider-Verse. Daniel Kaluuya has been cast as Spider-Punk, and that is going to be an interesting take on him. I know that the character was originally based on Spider UK, but I think like Dan Slott didn't really like the design or something like that, so they changed it
Hmm.
to Spider Punk. But I don't think he's from like the UK. So it'll be interesting if they'll let Daniel keep his accent.
Oh, so Spider Punk isn't from the UK.
I don't think so. I
You
think
know,
he's
I
just
don't know nothing about them spiders, child.
there's a lot of them
Unless
over
it's
there. But Spider Woman though will be voiced by Issa Rae.
that's not true. I know Jessica and Julia and Miguel and Miles.
Well, that's the cast of this movie.
I guess I know a few of them.
Oscar Isaac will be Spider-Man 2099.
Yeah, that's one I'm excited for. So like I think I've said it before, but Spider-Man 2099, like that is my Spider-Man. I love me some Miguel O'Hara, and I'm very
He's
excited for that
cool.
because I also love Oscar Isaac. He's got one of the best comic book designs, I think. His costume, peak. Yes.
Yeah, it's really cool. So yeah, I'm excited for this sequel. I really, really enjoyed the first one. Um, Not really a spoiler, but I guess like some info on me when I watched it. I like bawled during the first
Oh.
like 5 minutes or so when Miles appeared on screen and was just like rapping in his room. Tears, because I was like, oh my
Oh.
god,
Don't
that's
you love
like
when that
me.
happens? You love when that happens.
Yeah,
Like my
my
childhood
friend
is
like
singing.
looked. My friend like looked over at me and was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Yeah."
Like
I'm
these are
okay.
happy tears. This is a good thing that's happening
Yes.
right now. I love that.
So it'll be interesting to see what Daniel Kaluuya brings to Spider Punk and all the Spider Punk fans out there. I think he is being featured in some of the books right now, so check him out. Um, Also in the news, we found out that Sasheer Zamata and Eric Andre have been cast in Agatha Coven of Chaos. So this like
Ugh.
cast is really starting to come together. It seems like every week there's someone newly being added to the show. So we'll see who Sasheer is playing as well as Eric. They are both comedians. So
Mhm.
and this allegedly the TV series is going to be like a dark comedy.
Okay.
So I think that's going to be great. Shasheer's, I've seen her on SNL and some of her podcasts. She's really funny. Eric Andre, he is absurd, but he's
Yeah.
funny. So it'll be interesting to see who any of these people play. I don't have a guest. Do you? Like, do you have a
Oh,
guess of who?
absolutely not. I don't know what's going on with this show or who these people might be. So, as
I
far
don't
as I'm
know. I
concerned,
don't
they
know
might all be brand new.
oh, I mean, does Marvel have a lot of magic users?
I mean, yes and
I feel
no.
like there's
I
like the
mean,
main like five.
I feel like there's those obvious ones. Your Morgans, your Enchantress, your Wandas, your
Strange.
yeah. Could not remember his name for some reason right now. Your your Clears. Ileana's been said to hang around with people.
You gonna
Um,
always kick her down.
I don't know. And so I feel like once you get done with that group, that's when you start going back in the day to like those other magic users who might only have like 50 appearances out of their entire publication history.
Mm,
And
yeah.
so it doesn't really make too much of a difference. You can swap them out and do whatever you need to do, reinvent them. We'll probably start seeing them pop back up soon. Wanda's got a book coming out in January where she's going to be doing
Ah,
stuff with the magic community. There's the Midnight Suns book now that could get extended or have a second life, bring some more people in. Anything.
so I guess, definitely stay on the lookout at your comics, everybody. Peep into the background. If you see a random character that just pops up and starts interacting with the main character, They might be appearing in the MCU soon. So let us know who you guys think either of those two are going to be. I don't have an idea. But that is all the updates that we had this week. Let's go ahead and take a break, and then we'll come right back.
Cool. All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome back for the comic section of the show, which was quite a light load this week. I'm disappointed to
Ooh,
say.
I don't really like a light
Don't,
load.
don't be nasty.
You set it up. I had to. I'm sorry.
This is a kid show.
Couldn't help it.
But no. Like a very, very light week for the comics fronts. But I did have a few things I wanted to mention. Sabertooth and the Exiles #1 came out this week. I
That's
did
still
not
going
read it,
on?
but well, this is a new one. It's like a three-part story. So
Oh,
the first part was Sabertooth. This is like Sabertooth and the Exiles, the team that like formed together. Now they're trying to find Sabertooth in this one. And then I guess once this like 5 issues is done, there's going to be a third part finale that finishes it off. Um,
hmm.
I know the book resonates with a lot of people. It's got a lot of like fun characters in it. I'm a big fan of Necra and Oya. There's this third eye guy. He is a psychic, sorcerer, assassin. And that's right up my alley.
Those are like your three favorite words.
Okay, like wow. So that was there. Avengers #62 came out. Oh, and that was from Victor Laval and Leonard Kirk. Avengers #62 was out, and that's Aaron. He's kind of winding down his run of Avengers, which is like really starting to hit me because I kind of like this book. I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't know if anybody's been able to notice, but it's like it's
Yeah,
gonna
we noticed.
it's gonna be
We
over
picked up.
soon. And who's gonna write the Avengers?
That's a good question. I don't know. I don't think they go too long without having a book out. So like it'd be interesting to see who they have to write like, you know, such a
I
main title.
I really want a Secret Avengers team to come back, mainly led by Sam, also that has Mockingbird. But I would also still like to know what's going to be of like the big main Avengers crew. But it's still good. I like the book. I think people should check it out. And then the X-Men Infinity comic that goes on. I thought this week's story was really, really good. It is from Tarn Gronbeck, who's been doing a lot of little things with Jane and the Valkyries and Thor and the Mighty Thor and all of that stuff that I've been enjoying a lot of. She's writing the
Oh,
story
that
with
makes
Solomon.
sense why Danny was in this, right? Because I
Yeah,
feel like they've used Danny a lot in those Valkyrie stories you've talked about before.
she's popped up, Queen. But in this, it's Hope and Danny on a little mission together, and
Oh,
I thought it was really nice. Hope
she
is
kick
like,
her in her chest again.
no, they've moved past that, which I thought was the nice part of it. I was like, oh, look at them, she can work together with her. Uh, but that was cute. It's a nice story. I don't know. I'm starting to see how I like really feel about Hope and whether or not I like her. I feel like she kind of fits into my brand of things that I like. But also she's a very big part of why like one of my favorite characters like went down a very dark hole. And so it's
Mm,
kind of like, ugh, when you're around, he kind of suffers. But
he
like
does. He does.
I could potentially like you because you're a holy war for real. For real. And I love her.
Mm,
Exodus was in it. You call her Messiah. She like
that's
crumbled.
unfortunate. That's disgusting.
She like the
Ew.
relationship they got going. So that was that. But getting into our main books, there was a new #1 out, and it's the Fantastic Four. Ryan
Yes, and
North.
this
This.
was written by Ryan North, and the artist was Ivan Coelho, and the colors were Jesus Obertov. And this was their new run, starting after the slot run. Now they are starting fresh with the Fantastic Four, and this is a very like condensed issue because again, the only people actually in this issue are Ben and Alicia, whose name is actually in the title of this now because it says Fantastic Four and Alicia Masters Grimm next to it. So I think they're kind of trying to include her as like a part of the cast. And yeah, this is a really good story. It tells you that Ryan North really knows the characters. Basically, what happens is uh, the Thing and Alicia are like on a road trip, and they've said something has happened with Reed in New York, but they won't say exactly what. I'm sure we'll find out next issue. But like they're on a road trip, they stop over into this town because they want to sleep at this hotel, and everything there is like caught in the 40s. And slowly but surely, they realize they're like caught in this like time loop, basically. They're trying to figure things out. Ben has a moment where this little kid is like in his truck playing with some stuff, and then the kid like runs away from the thing, calls him a monster. And the Thing has a thing where he's like, I'm not a monster. He's feeling really sad about himself. So it was like kind of sad to see that part and see people still kind of pick on
Isn't
him
that
for
something
that.
they always do to him?
Yeah, it's kind of sad, but
But
he has
more
his
of the
wife
time.
who was there to kind of console him and let him know that he is not a monster. And he was like, I'm not really worried about that. But then they
Alicia is
found
his
out
wife.
Alicia, his wife, yes, they got
Okay,
married
okay.
in the last run. I was like,
Okay.
kind of the point of the run was to get the two of them together. And the
That was
Thing.
the one where, because Doom also married someone in that one, didn't he?
I don't know if their marriage ended up going through or not. I didn't finish or read a lot of that run, as people may have already known. But he did have a wedding.
Okay.
It was to Victorious, which I think was weird because she was supposed to be like a daughter to him. I don't know.
Oh,
I don't know what they got going over there. I don't do that.
okay,
So
okay.
hopefully that's been all cleared up. Um, but here, long story short, they kind of figure out that they're in this time loop. They're like going out and meeting everyone, trying to figure out some details on how they can get out of this loop. They find this guy who, this town that disappeared. There was like this nuclear testing that went on, and basically, when this nuclear bomb went off, this guy got powers. They didn't really say if he was a mutant or not. They just said that he ended up getting powers, and his power was that he could like be in a time loop basically, and he had gotten broken up with, and he went into this bar and said, I really wish that I could do it all over again, and that would like reset the time, and the loop would start all over again. And they Alicia and Ben had a whole talk with him where he talked about, we understand you're feeling sad about your relationship, but like people had relationships before. Thing says, I was married before, and Alicia was like, yeah, I had plenty of boyfriends before the Thing, and the guy's like, that's weird. You guys are talking about your past relationships, and they're like, no, like when you love somebody, like your past is just about who you are. It doesn't, all that other stuff doesn't really matter. Um,
Period.
so he's like, he's like, I'm gonna go home and like think about this, and then he leaves the bar and doesn't wish to have it start all over again. Previously, they had told him, we think you're the guy who has the powers, so he would just like constantly do the loop over again because once he figured out he could do it, he was like, oh, well, I'm just gonna keep trying to fix it, but that didn't work. But then he ended up like living his life normally. The time loop ended up being broken. He got a wife, a black woman, and they had a kid, and um, he ended up dying later. But it was a really nice, heartfelt story. I think for a new number one, it was it was interesting to start a new number one with just one like fourth of the Fantastic Four instead
I
of
was
like
gonna
everybody at
ask,
once.
is that kind of like going to be the format of this? Like the first few issues are just focusing on one or one member or two members, I guess.
From what I've seen in interviews and everything, it seems as though this first like few issues are going to be like solo issues on everyone, and then everybody comes back together. He did say that he is not going to really focus too much on the kids, like they're going to have their own like lane, but this for his Fantastic Four run, he wants to really focus on the four and show them being a family. What I really hope is that we don't um miss out on any of the exploration, because I think that is what really, always really draws me to the Fantastic Four, all the sci-fi exploration stuff that they do and getting out there, getting to use their powers. It's always been really fun when everyone is just chilling at the Baxter building and Reed comes in and he's like, hey, y'all, I discovered like another universe. Y'all want to go? And everybody
Yeah.
packs up and goes over there and does some stuff, like some cool stuff over there. So hopefully that stuff isn't like sacrificed as we kind of really peel back the layers and really focus on just the four. I hope that we to explore.
So I
But
guess
overall, I thought it solid issue.
Okay. So I guess like
The
in
next
your
one
worst
will be
case
the deciding
scenario,
factor because it'll be about Sue.
uh, I guess so in your worst case scenario, what kind of happens like when they bring the family back together? You say you wanted a lot of emphasis on the exploration, but I guess like would it just be them sitting in the house or the Baxter building?
Oh no, they would like go to other universes and go to other planets and like leave.
Hmm.
I just like sitting around.
But that's
Is that
like
what you
what
mean?
you, yeah, that's what you have. It doesn't devolve into of them just sitting around.
I hope it. Yes, exactly. I hope that it isn't just the four of them separately, and we're getting stories like that are just about each one individually, and that's great. But I hope that doesn't sacrifice the time that we get when they're like explorers. You know, like I get that they're all like obviously individual people, but they're also explorers. So I hope we get to see some of that too.
Okay.
Something happened to the Baxter building in New York. There's like a big crater. It looked like a big explosion happened, and they saying it's Reed's fault. So we'll
Okay.
see what happens with the next issue because I think the next one is a Reed and Sue.
Okay. That's fine. What would you rate it?
I would give this issue a 3.5 out of 5. I think it was a really great start to a fun run. You really get to see um, Ben and Alicia and like their relationship and kind of what how they are as characters before we dive into the other members of the Fantastic Four. I do think that the art was fantastic. Thing looked great. He really got to use a lot of his super strength with stuff, which is really cool. The time loop like art was really cool. The way that they showed everything kind of resetting. Um, yeah, it was a really solid issue.
Okay. Well, welcome back to the Fantastic Four, or one of the Fantastic
Yes,
Four. We hope to see the rest of you soon.
let's see.
And our next book is Moon Knight number 17. That's from Jed McKay and Alessandro Capuccio. And this is good Moon Knight book. I just Jed McKay's doing it. That's my guy. I have faith in him. But
Yeah.
at the last issue, the two assailants, the two assassins that have been attacking Moon Knight, got Hunter's Moon and they killed him. And this issue, we get Moon Knight walking up on his body with Tigra, and he's like, "All right, I got to go get him now." And so she's like, "I'll help you find him." He's like, "No, they killed him. This is something I got to do on my own." He goes and grabs them up and takes them back to the Midnight Mission. Now, the Midnight Mission is also the House of Shadows, which is like this magical house in the Marvel universe. And so he's like, I couldn't beat you guys hand to hand. He's like, honestly, you might be able to take me, but now you're in my house. You're playing by my rules. And so the house uses its magic to put them through these like torturous nightmare scenarios. And he's like, this is where you'll
Mm,
go crazy. This is where I'll bury you. This is where I'll destroy you. He's like, I am Moon Knight. He's like, don't play with me. And it's just like such a good thing to watch. And it's like, yes, this is him. This is what we need. And by the end, both of the assassins are like, crying, and they're like, we'll leave you alone, we'll give you the money that we were paid to kill you, like we'll do
oh,
it. They're like, you'll never hear
they're
from us
terrible
again.
assassins.
Because Mark is like, I am like the fear, like that's what I am. And he's like, honestly, it's not my decision to make. He's like, you thought you killed Hunter's Moon, but you forget that Hunter's Moon is a fist of Khonshu. We don't die. And you see Hunter's Moon walking up behind him because
Okay.
he lives again. So that was like a really hot moment, and I love seeing them together. The second part of the story that's been going on in the background is this villain, the tutor, who's like this vampire guy trying to basically make vampires more powerful throughout the country using the government and officials and stuff like that. And he has some people from Dracula's court in Chernobyl, which is nice, a little tie-in to see, and then a bunch of other high-profile vampires there. And he's explaining to them what he's done here in New York and how he wants to expand and how they should work together and pool their resources and become like the most powerful vampire group in the entire world. And who comes crashing through the window but the two assassins tied up? And Midnight, Moon Knight, and Tigra walk in, and they're like, "Hey, sorry, we thought we'd give you back." And then the issue ends. So next one, it looks like it's about to be a big fight between Moon Knight and the Vampire Nation.
Oh, okay. I know you're gonna love that.
Yeah, it's hot. Like everything that's going on, I'm like, oh, this is hot. This is it. Jevin K is doing it. The art, I think, is really again a great thing for this book. The scenes of like the house sending the two assassins through there. parts were very creepy, and like you could feel the fear and how they wanted to get away. It was dark, it was moody, it was gritty, it was hitting. I love it. I give it a 3.5 out of 5. Solid team.
Okay.
Excellent. Makes you love Moon Knight. But that was all I had for the week. Although I will say, having a lighter week, I was able to read a couple of other things. I got more caught up on the character White Fox with Marvel. She's officially a doll. I'm adding to my roster of dolls. So like,
Okay.
I think everyone should get into her. And then because of Wakanda Forever, I was getting a little bit more to the Midnight Angels and the Wakanda
Oh,
side of
Queens.
things. You know, T'Challa doesn't really move me, but I'm always going to be here for one of the girls. So I got into that, and that was good. But
Yeah. Those girls are cool.
those, those are the comics of the week.
Okay, well then let's go ahead and move over into the AR Club this week, and we watched Wolverine and the X-Men episodes 4 and 5, and it's interesting watching this again, and like I haven't watched it in so long, and comparing it to how I felt when it was coming out versus now. I remember watching this as it was coming out and thinking, oh, this is like okay, none of my faves are here, but like I like the X-Men, so this is cool. And um now this first episode had they're still like in the recruiting stage, basically, like they're going, Wolverine is still trying to find all the X-Men and bring everybody back so they can kind of be together and fight the MRD and everything. And they found out that, well, Xavier told Wolverine that Africa is going to be like destroyed and the Storm is the one that does it. Then we find out that Storm is in Africa, like people are giving her gifts because she's a goddess, basically, and she ends up being attacked by Shadow King and being possessed by him. So the X-Men go and rescue her. Now, personally, and y'all could be mad if you if you don't like it,
Mm,
but I feel like this is really like pushing that girl, and Emma seems to be taking like a lot of scenes in this series so far. Like I didn't realize it back then, but now it does seem like they were really trying to push her. But I guess was this her time? Was she having a hot moment in the comics at the time?
I feel like she was. I feel like ever since
Mm.
Morrison put her on the new X-Men, she's been like consistently risen because she was dating Scott. And
The girlfriend.
yeah, that always seems to put her around. But like I was rewatching this, and I was like, this is a terrible show.
Oh.
And there is like so much focus on Logan and Emma, like you said. And then we get to Africa in episode 4 here, and we got Storm. And you know, I love Goddess Storm, like this woman who is like powerful and ethereal, and she has this commanding presence, and she's dominant. And she gets possessed by Shadow King, and like it's just hysterics. And like Storm is a hysterical woman, but there felt like no real essence of like the character of Storm. And I feel like no matter what you're trying to do, you're trying to get the essence of her and like to fight back again. And I think of like Storm in Shadow King in the comics, or
Mm.
Storm in psychic possession in general. The like lady with the indomitable will. Like no one can ever take control of her mind. She's always breaking out of something. She's always fighting back. And it's like you just don't get any of that. But what you do get is Emma Frost coming in to save the day. And it's like,
They had her
girl,
out here to try to have look like she's like some kind of warrior or fighter on the astral plane with this cape on trying to fight. Like, be serious.
like, please be serious.
All the
And
rest of
it's
the
like,
X-Men are struggling against Storm and her hailstorm, but oh no, Emma's fine because she got her diamond form. Look at her march ahead of us. Like, what?
and it's like, Storm, out of all people, like, come on, like, be serious. Yeah. And then you get, oh, but yeah, go ahead to the next one.
Well, did you feel like this episode was like an attempt at like the previous Shadow King possession episode from the 90s cartoon, like the animated series? Do you feel like Storm being possessed by Shadow King now in animation is like a plot that she's always going to be given?
I did feel like it was kind of a callback to something like that. I think it was like, but even then, I think about like that one, and then you got a lot more screaming and fighting back a storm and like trying not to be possessed like that, and that's what made it good because you saw that fight, you saw that like angst and what it was doing, and like that's what brought the destruction, not her just being possessed and being like, oh my gosh, I gotta make
Somebody
everyone
come
feel like
save me.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And that's where the show loses me in that sense. But I do feel like Storm kind of like getting into this thing of being possessed. Because I even think of X-Men Evolution. They didn't use Shadow King, but they like did their own, like somebody's coming to like get Storm. It was just somebody from like one of the old days for her. But again, it's done because the appeal is you get to see Storm fight back.
Mm-mm.
Here,
Not just be a
Storm is,
damsel.
yeah, here, Storm is like the damsel. Saved by
Yeah.
Emma Frost.
What would you like rate this episode? Did you like the design? Did you like the action? What would you rate it all overall?
What's out of five?
Yes.
I'd give it like a two.
Mm. Yeah, I give it like a 2.5. I liked the next one more than this one.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm trying to think about the next one. No, that
Oh,
was
okay. Well, episode 5, y'all, was the one basically starring Gambit, and Gambit was
that makes no
contracted to steal the collar that the X-Men had used previously on
Oh, and
Magma.
Magma was in this one. It's quick aside, really quick. Sorry to cut you off, but like, I don't know why, but did watching this make you think of X-Men Legends?
Yeah, Alison Cressmere.
Yes.
Yes.
And like those
Yes.
like clips of her when she was like the
The
first
opening, yeah.
her powers activated and all that. Like that scene where they like finally got her through the collar. Her, I was like, oh look at Allison.
Yeah. Why did they even name her that? Why did they name her Alison Cressmere? Why couldn't they just
Oh
use her regular name?
well, so in the comics, Magma was Amara. She was from Nova Roma,
Right,
and
right.
they all painted themselves brown, so they look like these like brown, dark-skinned people. And then when their skin
Not
washed off,
blackface.
yeah. And so then, but then like during the fight, they got knocked into the water, and they realized that like, oh, they weren't, they were just white people. And so it was this thing that they were supposed to be descendants of like Greek people and Selene and all this, and they were just this people who had been trapped here. But then they did a storyline that says, no, these were just regular people who got their memories altered, and her name was actually Alison Cressmere. But then they redid that and was like, she came back and was like, no, that was actually the lie. I am Amara of Nova Roma.
Mm,
It's a horrible storyline. Like Magma's kind of a horrible character,
that sucks
but
for her.
it is just. Ugh.
Poor thing. Which would you prefer for her to be,
I
Amara or Allison?
I prefer X-Men Evolution because they just made her a
See,
black
a
Brazilian
black
girl named
Brazilian girl.
Amara, which she
They
which
said,
she
cut
should have
all that
said.
extra. Let's just get to the point. No more Nova Roma. We're not finna wash off no skin. Like,
Like, no, they were like, this is what it is.
yeah,
That
she's
makes
from
sense.
Brazil.
So yeah,
Yeah. I don't know why they haven't even tried to like synergize that yet.
I I think because
It's
they keep
possible.
trying to make Nova Roma work, but like Nova Roma is just like dumb to
Yeah.
me. Sorry to the Nova Roma fans,
I mean, it's another hidden city in Brazil. They've got enough of those.
full of
Uh,
white people.
right. That's random. They should just make them all Brazilian. Like, come on, y'all, just make them all Brazilian. But anyway, in the rest of this episode, you've got Gambit who is going to go steal the collar from the X-Men. He does steal it, and Wolverine finds out. Of course, he doesn't wake anybody up. He just goes and handles it on his own and meets up with Gambit, tells him that, I will pay you more than what they paying you if you help me get the collar back. They have all these like shenanigans basically together, and they are end up getting trapped by this MRD Sentinel Prowler. And Gambit ends up getting away, telling Logan, thanks for helping me out here. Good luck with this Prowler. I'm out. And I got the collar. But then he opens the box, and Wolverine already stole the collar. So, boom. I thought the episode was fun. Um, I know, I don't know why he has a lot of random haters, but I like Gambit. I don't dislike him. So this
Not
was kind of fun
random
to see.
haters. Please, there are legitimate reasons for not liking Gambit. Let's be serious
Why?
here.
Why? Why?
Honestly, most of the Gambit fans the people who I see who don't like Gambit are Rogue fans.
Oh, well, that's fair. Most people who like one person in the relationship don't like the other one
Yeah, because they hate Rogue.
because they always
Gambit
end up
fans
being
hate
tied
Rogue
with
too.
them. Yeah. And it's crazy because I don't think either side has a problem with them being married. They just don't want them being always stuck with each other.
I don't know. I think they're hot. I like it when they're together.
I like it too. I
I
think they're
think like
great.
Rogue
I don't
as
think they
the
always
like
stuck together.
superhero girl and her husband who likes to tag along because they just like being around each other. They get along. They friends.
Hmm. I'm cool with it. So like, I don't really have that much of a problems with Gambit. I thought he was fine in this episode. Fun. Um, what did you think?
Um, I thought the episode, quite honestly, was a little forgettable. I did
Mm,
distinctly remember the magma segment because again, it made me think of X-Men Legends. Um, I thought the way they did her powers was nice, and I did like the design of Gambit in this episode.
mm. I did like his powers. I thought that would look cool.
But then
I think
again,
a lot of
here
some
we
of the
are.
powers
Why
just
is
don't look good.
Wolverine the only other person here?
It's called Wolverine the X-Men.
Where are the
They meant
X-Men?
it. They meant it. Wolverine is a star.
I mean, that's true.
I feel like this show didn't help with the whole. You know how people hate Wolverine because he everywhere.
Yeah,
This show didn't help.
not at all. This probably like relit the fire,
Yeah.
but they like John Drake though. He's serious.
I mean, he can't help it that he's popular. Like that's not his fault. Like
When you're hot, you're hot. I don't
he
know what to say.
sells. Maybe if the other girl sold like he did, then
I don't even think it's just a thing about him selling, but the stories be good.
that is also true. Wolverine's cool. Sorry. What would you rate this episode?
Also a two.
Out of 5. Okay. This one I would give a 2.5. Yeah, 2.5 out of 5. This rewatch has been fun. I haven't watched this in a long time, and it's really still making me wonder if like this premise for the X-Men is still like what the general audience sees these characters as. Do you know what I mean?
Mm, yeah, I hope not.
It'll be interesting to see. I'm sure we're getting closer to MCU time, so we'll see. But all right, y'all, let's go ahead and take a break, and then we'll come right back.
Ooh. All right, guys, welcome back to another review. And this week, we were blessed and graced with Wakanda Forever.
Boom.
And
I mean,
not the boom.
cinema. This is real cinema. Fantastic movie.
Um,
I mean, I had a great time from beginning to end. I'm just go ahead and get that out there. Um, Opening, right off the bat with T'Challa's death and just jumping straight into that was very kind of shocking, but I was like, all right, cool, we going right into it. Let's do it. And it was very beautiful the way that they
yeah,
were kind of sending him off. It was very, very nice. I really liked that. Um, and I felt all the emotions that everybody was feeling. It was sad, but beautiful.
it was. There were a lot of things that I really enjoyed about this movie. I felt that obviously this was something to the main point of this was like grief and like processing it and moving away from it after losing people and like all of the different ways you navigate it and how that works. And like I really appreciated that because obviously like this was something real that happened and like you could feel that through all the people acting in this movie. Anytime they talked about T'Challa, you could feel that like they were talking about Chadwick and like that emotion rang true and very real. So like that was the beautiful thing. I think the beginning opening segment where they do like the Marvel credits with just all of the pictures of him and like the purple, and it was like really quiet in my theater. I remember I was like
When he
actually
was
holding my
smiling,
breath.
I was like,
Yes,
yeah.
it was like so intense and so like you said, like it just like hit you right from the beginning, and you hit the ground moving and you get into it. And this movie was kind of long. And but I will say I never felt like bored. I did like notice the length, but like I was still entertained out the entire time. I didn't mind it. It was like, oh, okay, like I don't
Mhm.
mind if this goes a little bit longer. And I thought a lot of things were very well paced out. The ending, third act, a little some here and there, but nothing super big for me.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'll agree with you there. I felt like they kind of wrapped up the third act a little bit,
yeah,
like
I
really
also
fast.
but like I think a lot of the performances shown throughout when we start moving into the action, I think that was really well done. Okoye versus Atuma on that bridge,
Oh yes,
like
warriors fighting.
that was like a moment right there. And so like kind of like already going ahead to pivot into the um
Atuma was giving her the business, and when he threw her into his own spear into the
she
ground, I was like, "Woo, get up, girl!"
it's because he has super strength and super speed. But she was still holding her own and she was doing what needs to be done. So it
She
was
killed
like
the
shout out
first
to that.
three people by herself. So
And
like,
so like this
give
so
it
this
to
is one
her.
of the things I was actually going to say that I kind of had a little bit of an issue with the that crew and like their abilities and stuff like that. Like she clearly like killed them while they were up
Mhm.
on that bridge. And but she said, they got up and walked away. But I thought that was just kind of strange because later on, when Nakia comes to rescue Shuri, she like kills one of the girls with her sonic blast gun.
Mhm.
And so like that's what essentially act of war. So it was kind of like, oh, so they can die. So why was those points not dead if they don't regenerate? I thought that was a little weird. But
Maybe I don't know. Maybe that girl just didn't have the regenerative properties or something. I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know. I feel like they wasn't trying to give my sister her wins, and I have a problem with that. That's all I'm gonna say. Um, but like moving into that whole group, I thought the culture was like beautiful, and I really liked the way that they
Mhm.
infused like the history of Namor and
Yeah,
his
right.
origin, and even though everybody else is still calling him Namor.
Which honestly, I actually I don't know if this was done intentionally and I could just be projecting, but as someone with a not that difficult name, but people still
Mhm.
get it wrong even after you tell them, I like related to that. So I
It's like
truly
that's
understood
not
like
my day.
that's not my name. And I just told you how to say it. But people still say it wrong anyway.
Yeah, I was
Not only
getting
that, I
you
gave you the
right.
origin of where my name came from, but you still got it wrong. So I
Like
completely understand
he gave you a
that.
whole story, like the vision, everything, and they were just like
Yes.
Namor, but no more. The way the culture was infused with him and how they told that story, I thought that was beautifully done. Now I know a lot of people are like on his side and rooting for his team all of a sudden because he looked good. No, I'm still team anti Fish King.
I'm on no one's side, personally. I just think Namor is cool as hell. I like his anti-hero personality. I'm really glad that they kind of kept that there, even though sometimes when they let him crack a joke or two, I thought that was also fun. Um, like when in the beginning when Shuri kind of came down there, he was like, if you go follow me, like the pressure is gonna crack, your bones aren't gonna be able to make it, or you can make a suit. I got one.
Mhm.
Let me pull one for you. I thought that was
That was,
cute.
he did
Um,
the anti-hero
so
thing
yeah,
really well. I think the
yeah.
motivations
I
were
thought he was
valid.
a
Namor,
perfect Namor.
agreed. I would hate no more in the comics too. So it's
Yeah,
like you
that's
did
the
the
point.
job right.
That's the point. Yeah, and I think
Like,
that's great. I don't think
although,
most people like don't think Namor is like a likable person. He's nasty.
although, who also I don't like Nomura, and let me tell you my issue with her. She was running around yelling at people on a tumor on the bridge, talking about like you playing, you still fighting this girl, doing stuff. She wasn't doing nothing.
Oh, but I thought Namor was getting the work done. She also was the one who blew up the ship at the end and
It took her like
cracked it up.
45 minutes to finally crack that thing open. You supposed to be Miss Billy Badass. You're not doing
Nobody else was
nothing.
doing it. Nobody else was doing it. Namora was handling her business. And she was very
You got
much like, I don't like that you bound to these people, and I have to. I gotta give it to her because I would have been the same one. Like, I don't like what you're doing over here.
And just
So
like he told her, it had to be done. Think, turn it on.
I like her. I think she's kind of cool. Her daughter in the comics I ain't that big of a fan of, but
See how they
whatever.
continue. But I thought they were super well done. I thought like Angela Bassett was like amazing. I really did like weep when my sister passed. Saving
You
Riri.
know, it's crazy that happened in this movie because I expected it. I think you and I had talked about it on the show too, that like, time exists in the MCU and like characters get older. And obviously, like, similarly to Ant-Man and Quantum Realm, like, I don't think Hank, Pym, or Janet are probably gonna make it out of that movie. But still, this one kind of shocked to me. I didn't think this was how she was going to die.
Mm,
Like after she saved that girl, I thought, I don't know how I thought she was going to die, but I didn't think that she was just going to like drown.
oh, I guess I never really thought about it. Maybe I thought I saw her dying in battle or something like that, but I did anticipate her dying. I thought the drowning was like very bittersweet, and especially like with saving Riri and adding that extra dimension to her character, which like quick pivot. Riri, shout out to her. I remember you said you was a
Shout out to
fan
my
of
Chicago
Chicago
sister.
girl, but I wasn't really feeling it. But like I walked out of this movie loving her character, and I'm like super excited for Ironheart now. Dominique, she did that. Super
Yes,
likable.
she did.
Really
Loved
enjoyed
her.
her character. Really enjoyed the dynamic of her and Shuri together, and like the smart girls, and like they want to do their thing, and they got all these rules and stuff, and just kind of bonding for that. I kind of hope they like show up. I actually really like the suit that she popped up with at the end.
Yeah, it was cool.
And I hope she kind of like gets it back somehow because I thought it was hot.
I want a new one. I could go with a new one. I want a bit more comic accurate one for the next one, which I'm sure they'll give her. You know how they do in the MCU on your show. She's not gonna get
Yeah,
into the last episode, but
the first suit is always the thing, and then she'll get the new one. I'm anxious to learn a little bit more about her and like what was going on with the school and like who the benefactors were and who people are doing the
mhm.
research for and all of those things like that. I have some ideas,
I,
but
she was really cool. I really liked her. I don't know. She also just felt like a homegirl. Like
homegirl, it's like my
she really
sister.
gave me Chicago. Like truly, when one of my two favorite moments from her were when they got captured, but Shuri and Riri got captured, and they're like freaking out. And Atola Khan, she's like, call the Black Panther. They're gonna come get us. And Shuri's like, there isn't a Black Panther. And Riri was like, so you mean to tell me now that I got captured, there ain't no Black Panther? Like, what's going on? I really
Exactly.
appreciate that. 'Cause I felt the same way. Like, hold on, now
Yeah.
y'all don't have one. I thought she was really funny. I liked her a
Just the
lot.
whole way she like interacted with them throughout everything, I just thought was like really done. Even when like they first went to her room and she tried to throw the fan at Okoye, and they were just like, "Girl, calm down."
And she called her
Uh,
Ashley.
yeah, like really good stuff with her. Love that. This cast did great. Michaela Coel as Anika, she looked fantastic. She was in the movie for 5 minutes, which I knew was gonna happen because she ain't been on the press tour. But I
You
thought
know
the little
what? I
five
guess I didn't
she
pay
had.
attention to the press tour because I truly thought that she was gonna. I thought they were gonna show more of her at like the Midnight Angels, like her and Ao
Mhm.
together. But I guess you're right. She wasn't really on the press tour, so
Yeah,
she
it
probably
was
isn't
about
obligated to go.
maybe like 2 weeks ago. I don't know. I was looking at some interview with the cast, and I was just like, Michaela's not here. And I was like, but she was just on some other show talking about something else. And
Mm,
then I started thinking about, I was like, she really hasn't been in like a lot of the photo shoots, and she ain't been in thing. And
makes
I was
sense.
like, oh, she's not gonna be in this movie a lot. But
You're only obligated to go when you in it a lot. So
okay, but her little 5 minutes was cute. I like the relationship that they seem to say that she had with Shuri and like the daggers that she used. The moment with her and Ao where they were fighting on the boat together, and that shot
it was
was pretty
cute.
dope.
Mhm.
And I'm hopeful for. I
They could
like
have
the
played up
next.
the relationship a little bit more. I'm gonna say it. They could have at
They
least. I like that she kissed her on the head at the end, and she called her my
mhm,
love. But they could have earlier in the movie established that they were together.
when they was doing a little little something, something. But I like that. I like the Midnight Angel suit. It's a first suit. Obviously, I think it'll get a little bit more streamlined, but I like what we saw of it. I hope
I
I'm
thought it looked
excited.
directly like it was from the comics. I was like, damn,
Yeah.
they really like one for one this suit.
I was like, okay. So I'm like excited to see more of them and what they do.
hmm Yeah, I'm interested to see where they kind of branch out with more of like the Wakandan characters. I know that there hasn't been any official announcements yet, but I know that or allegedly the Ryan Coogler's like production company is going to be working with Disney for some of the other. I think there's like a World of Wakanda show as well as a Midnight Angel show that was supposedly be like in the talks of being made. So we'll definitely be paying attention to see when those things come out. Those girls deserve so. And shout out to the women because they were the leads of
They
this movie.
and outsold. Like they did everything
Truly.
they needed to do. Lupita as Nakia was excellent.
Mhm.
When Queen Ramonda went and recruited her to go and find Shuri, it was like 36 hours. She said, I got her. Talk about a woman that works.
She sure did. She said, I know how exactly where I gotta go. I gotta.
And she said, okay, I'm gonna do it. And she wrote her right on back. And I was like, that's what I'm talking about. Shout out to Lupita. She looked good too.
Yes, she did.
Fine.
They, gorgeous.
Watching Shuri's kind of character arc deal with like the anger and then becoming like Panther and taking the harsh herb and seeing Killmonger in there who kind of looked good in the ancestral plane. I'm not gonna lie, but
I
how they
have to
definitely
say,
show it.
I thought that he was like giving Michael B. Jordan versus Killmonger because why did he need to have a grill in? Like,
Yeah. One of
I
my
was like,
friends,
okay,
one of my friends was like, "Why did his hair get longer?" I was
yeah.
like, you can't look good no more. Like, is he dead? Stop.
That was just wild to see. But
Um,
a cameo for him, it was cool.
yeah, watching that progress and like how they do it, and then how it also kind of like feeds in and leads up to Shuri's big battle with Namor, which I thought was like really well done. And like he was kind of beating her down a little
He
bit,
was
which
he
I
was beating her
appreciated.
ass.
He was like, "Oh, this is war, baby." He was like giving it to her,
Mhm.
slam. When he like threw her up and then slammed her back into the ground, I was like, "God dang!" I was like,
I
"She's
truly like jumped. I was like, oh, he finna body slam this little girl. Oh my god,
It was
this is
intense.
getting nasty.
It was like shout out to them. I thought that was really well done. Even the way to the end where they handled it, and she likes the low fire thing. That was like cool and got him to yield, which was hot. It was hot.
I thought it was a little anticlimactic with
The fire.
the fire explosion part, and I was like, okay, they're kind of wrapping this up. And with the fighting where the Tolokans and the Wakandans were fighting on that ship, it just seemed like all of a sudden it was like, it's over,
Yeah,
y'all.
I didn't like that ended. And I also felt like there were a lot of dead Wakandans on that ship, which I felt really bad about.
Yeah. Right, because they can't swim and they can't breathe water.
God dang. But I don't know. I think the fire thing, it was a house what she gonna wear. It was
Right,
kind of,
exactly. So she wasn't.
it's kind of like,
So, yeah.
well,
We had to
you
comic
got,
book it up real quick and just
you
do
gotta
something real.
exactly. So I appreciated that for what it was. But I'm excited for the future of Wakanda in the MCU and the future of Telecom.
Yeah, I think they're going to be really great. I think I've already said it before. Go ahead and give Namor his MCU synergy shot and give him this look in the comics. I think it really fleshed out those characters and like really made them look really cool. Um, I loved all of his flying scenes. Y'all know I love a flying tank. So like
Yeah.
in the beginning of the movie where he like spun that helicopter around and threw it away, loved it.
I
I thought
also
most
did love the Telecons and the little siren thing where they were having everybody like drown themselves. That was hot.
I thought that was
And,
really cool, like giving them that
and the
siren
water bombs.
call. Also really cool. See, I think sometimes like MCU synergy is okay. Like
The
they got to
water
bring
bombs were
some of that
hot.
stuff
I was
over.
like, I need a couple of them. That was really cool to see. But sure, you did rip one of the Moore's wings off, and that was hot too.
She did.
Like,
Was staring at the feathers and everything.
okay, but they did his flight really well. How did you
Yeah.
feel about Telecon overall, like the city?
I thought it was really cool. I liked the way that it felt, I don't know, different, I guess you could say. I've never been to an underwater city, so I can't really compare it to something in real life. But most of the time when we see any kind of like underwater city, usually it is like really bright and illuminated, and it
Yeah.
looks like super mystical and magical. Um, and with this one, it seemed as they were more like, no, they really are at like the depths of the ocean, and like they
Yeah.
have some light or whatever, but it is because they have glowworms, or like Namor did. He brought the sun down there with this thing for them, for his people. So it felt more kind of like they were building their own thing rather than just, mimicking something they've seen before, and
Mhm.
just making it like this big, bright, glowing city. I liked it.
I agree. I agree with that. I really enjoyed again the culture that was impacted into the city and the fact that they kept it Telecom. It didn't like call it Atlantis or something
Yeah,
like, you know what I'm saying? That was dope. So we'll see more of them. Atuma, I'm cool with him. Namora,
it's interesting
maybe
because
not.
Atuma is normally like a villain. Normally, I'm used to him being like a villain to not only the Avengers but also to Namor. Like he's the one where he is very gung ho on taking down the surface world. And him and Namor like butt heads sometimes. So it was interesting to see him like be more the general in this one.
Yeah.
So like they got to do more now, right? Because I want to see the rest of it, like where he
Yeah.
starts to turn on Namor. And
That would be high. It was good. I really
yeah,
enjoyed the movie.
they
I thought
brought
it
the
was
horn in. I thought that was really cool. A lot of really cool like comic book moments.
how did you feel about, after it ends and the piece is made and they kind of go their separate ways, we get Shuri going to see Nakia
In Haiti.
and Haiti, and they have their moment. She finally kind of gets to the part where she's gonna burn her clothes, and we get that really cute scene of Nakia coming out with the little boy.
Tucson. Yes. Or that is his Haitian name. His real name is
Yeah,
T'Challa. Um, I Okay, so true to y'all, I knew this was coming. So like, I already knew that
I
that part.
definitely
That
was saying that.
Yeah. So like, I kind of knew that part was coming. I thought the boy was adorable. I literally was in the
Yeah,
theater and I was like, oh my, I want a son.
I didn't go that far.
He was so he was so cute, um, and so adorable. But I thought that it was interesting. It also leads me to believe that because of him being T'Challa and because people are going to obviously want like quote unquote male Black Panther, that he will probably eventually rise and take on the mantle.
Yeah.
They'll probably have for the rest of Phase 4, Shuri will probably be Black Panther. But I do think that a time jump is happening soon. Like I think
Mm,
after Avengers, Kang Dynasty, and Secret Wars, that like there's gonna be some shifting of some things, and I could see them doing something where they either age the young T'Challa up or
yeah.
bring the young T'Challa from another universe or something. I could see them using this to kind of recast
Right.
T'Challa.
Interesting, interesting. So would that be the T'Challa that dates Storm then?
That what?
Would that be the T'Challa that dates Storm?
Oh, yeah. I guess I don't think about Storm as being somebody's wife. So I guess,
I
sure.
mean, you
Um,
don't, but you think about T'Challa dating Storm. That's his big moment.
oh, I guess so. I
That's
don't
not
really
really
think
something.
about T'Challa that often. So,
That's fair.
uh, um, that would probably be the one, yes, that they have with Storm. You know, I guess Black Panther and Storm is such a known couple that it's probably hard for them to avoid doing it.
Yeah.
But now Storm is so far off from being introduced, and they have to wait for this Black Panther to be aged up. Who knows if they'll actually even do it?
I don't know. See, I mean, I'm not opposed. Actually, I kind of like a post Storm T'Challa being kind of toxic together.
Oh yeah, I like that version of their relationship. Um, I just feel like it's gonna be hard to translate on screen due to circumstances.
Yeah. Hmm. What would you rate the movie overall?
Oh wait, what did you think of
But
Julia Louis-Dreyfus?
oh, I love her.
I was not expecting her to actually be in this movie, but it makes sense for her to be there considering that she was like the tie it all together. Like this,
Yeah.
she was the reason it got tied back into like the greater MCU. You know,
Yeah.
without
Because
that her
outside of that,
connection,
it didn't really feel like an MCU
no,
movie at all.
it had nothing to do with the rest of that stuff. So, but she kind of like pulls it back into the MCU, which I thought was interesting to use her for. I thought it was cool that they showed that her and I can't think of his name right now, but they used to be
Bro.
married. Yes. I
Uh,
thought it was cool that they were exes.
I like I like that. I like her. I really enjoy her as Valentina. Did you ever watch V?
Yes, I've seen some episodes. I've never watched all of it. It's
So
hilarious.
like basically Valentina in the MCU feels like an extension of Selena Myers from V. And like it just feels so genuine because it's like of course this is who Selena Myers would turn into. And I absolutely love it.
I'm just
So
thinking
I
of like Valentina, like her as Valentina with that stripe in her hair, like turning around being like, what the fuck? Like she's done Veep.
exactly. Like that is her. Like that is exactly the same person. So like I really enjoy her in that role. I did like him. I also like the end, after she kind of got him, we had Okoye in her Midnight Angel suit come and rescue Ross. So that's gonna be
Mhm.
really fun to see where that goes. Again, we heard the rumors or rumorings about a Midnight Angel show. So that could possibly deal with that there.
Mhm.
And I hope to
Yeah.
see more. I like how she's kind of tying it in. It worked.
Shout out to Okoye. That really, she's the actress and the character and all. They like really have a big resurgence for themselves recently. I feel like before the MCU, they were more of a minor character in like the Wakanda corner,
Hmm.
but now like
She's that
you're not
girl.
gonna bring up Wakanda without bringing up Okoye.
She be all over. She be popping up in miniseries and teams and everything.
Hmm.
She fought Taskmaster.
She did. That was a good. I might go back and read that mini. That was good. Um.
Never.
Anyway, what would you rate this movie out of 10?
Um, Out of 10, I would give it an 8
Okay,
for sure.
that's
Beautiful.
solid.
Love the performances. Extremely solid. We'll be seeing it multiple times. The costuming was great. Um,
Yes.
the tone was well done. Again, like I had some issues here with the pacing in the third act. At some points, there was a little blah, but like overall, this was such a good movie. Soundtrack
Yeah.
was good. Like I even think back to just like the beginning when they do the funeral for T'Challa, and just
Hmm.
like the dancing and the faces, and it's like yes, it's a sad moment, but it's also like a big celebration of his life. People are happy and they're laughing, and it just looks good. You're just like, yeah, like this is it.
Yeah, it was great. I will say that there were some people in my theater who sat next to me, and I chuckled too. I'll admit that at the end of the movie, when the credits started to roll and that Rihanna song started to play, we kind of chuckled because that first note she hits in that song is like, oh, okay.
Beautiful.
Is it?
It's a beautiful song.
It is a
Heartwarming.
beautiful song. I don't need to hear Rihanna singing it.
Excellent, excellent vocals, excellent performance. I
Beautiful
can't
song.
wait till it wins its Grammy and Oscar,
Whoa,
maybe.
that's all asking for a lot. But
Oscar, can they do a Tony for Black Panther?
the Tonys are for musicals.
We'll make this one.
I do
Yeah,
expect the Black Panther, specifically like Angela Bassett, and like the movie overall, I expect a lot of awards for them.
agreed.
I don't know about I don't know about that girl winning something for like an
Oh,
Oscar for Best Original Song. That's not gonna happen. But I do
you don't
think
have
that
to
the
know,
movie will
but
get a
just
bunch.
know. Born Again came on after that too. They might nominate both actually. Both might win. It might be a tie. I don't know.
You know what? They give a lot of bad songs stuff, so why not? Whatever.
Rihanna wouldn't know. She don't make that song.
Ooh,
Now, what would you
okay.
rate?
Anyway, um, I would give this movie a 8.5 out of 10. I really, really enjoyed it. I thought it was Very well done. Like you said, the costuming was great. All the actors were fantastic. Um, like I said, Moore and Riri were probably my favorites in this movie. Um, it was just great. Fantastic movie.
Can't
Way
wait
to
to
really kind of start to turn the ship around because Phase 4 been
terrible.
she been
It was
down. She been
terrible.
shaky.
It was terrible. Miss Marvel, She-Hulk, Wakanda Forever. Thank you. Everyone
Yeah.
else, go home.
Looking back, this was the era of a lot of like the Disney Plus shows, and everybody didn't need a show. Looking back at this, we started with WandaVision, Falcon and Winter Soldier,
That's how we should have
Loki.
known. We started with Wanda. Only bad things come from Wanda.
That's true. She does bring things down. When she's not like in her own like witch lane, it always
Chaos.
puts down.
Chaos
Chaos is
and
what she is.
mayhem. That's Wendy for you.
It's also such whiplash to go from Thor: Love and Thunder to Black Panther: Wakanda Forever.
I have erased that movie from my memory.
As you
I
should. It's not good. It is
mm,
not.
mm.
Well, that brings us to the end of the show. Please let us guys know what you think of Black Panther Wakanda Forever. You can find us on wherever you get your podcast at. You can find us on Twitter and Instagram at Another Relaunch. You can watch us on YouTube at Another Relaunch TV. You can find me on most social media platforms at Uncanny blah, 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 sorry. Uncanny LZ. Keenan, where can they find you?
You guys know you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Keenan Lance. As always, there's an underscore at the end.
All right, y'all. Let's get up out of here and we'll catch you next week.
Peace.